On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me... Feather flu. It's not good. Well, hello every pony, and a Merry Christmas to you all. Well, it's been a hell of a year, isn't it? So, as always, Winged T-Spears here to provide you with another little present to add to the pile of presents that you may have received this year. I have brought for you another Clopfic. This one was written by one of my subscribers, and he requested for me to read it, so I checked it out, and this story has a few little touches that I really, really like. It's actually a solitary story involving just Rainbow Dash and a shower. I will let your mind go to work on what happens. So, without further ado, I will begin my last reading for this year. So once again, every pony, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's go. Wet Rainbows by Naviskypegasus. It had been a long and arduous day of training for Rainbow Dash, who had been perfecting some new tricks for an upcoming Wonderbolts show set to take place in Manhattan in a few days' time. Stumbling to the front door of her cloud home, the Pegasus let out an exhausted sigh as she reached up to turn the golden door handle slowly and trotted inside. She was still wearing her Wonderbolts uniform from training earlier. Her perspired body under the outfit made a stretching latex sound as she walked past the living room and right into her bedroom. She hovered up quickly and let herself fall back down onto her large king-sized cloud bed, laying on her back and stretching out her two cyan wings as she let out a relieved gasp of breath.
Finally. Home at last. Now, I'd better get out of this uniform and freshen up,
Dash said, trying to get comfortable to no avail. She wasn't supposed to be home yet, seeing as how it was the middle of the tour and all, but she needed a break, and not to mention release after 3 solid weeks of performing. Her human lover had been watching over the house while she was off on tour. When he and the fastest Pegasus in all of Equestria first met, it was love at first, well, I guess you could say flight. Rainbow Dash had been flying over the Everfree forest when she first noticed the strange bipedal character stumbling through the thick woods as he tried to get his bearings. After telling him where he was and how a pony was able to talk, he settled into the new world he had accidentally discovered while flying through a particularly weird storm in the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Like Dash, flying had always given him a feeling like nothing else, thinking just what he would give to grow wings and take off whenever he felt like it instead of having to be confined to a cramped cockpit. Right then, the clouds in front of him formed a circle pattern as a portal opened up. He thought this was kind of strange, but decided to fly through anyway. Looking back after being in Equestria for a few months and meeting his good friend turned mare friend Rainbow Dash, it was the best decision he had ever made, even if the crash landing had left him messed up for a few weeks. Slipping out of the tight form-fitting uniform was a challenge, but on the other hand, trying to free her wings from the tight holes in her suit was almost impossible. Arching her back up and flicking her rainbow tail from side to side, making a whipping sound as she did, Rainbow Dash bit down on the front of the neck hole and pulled with all her strength, finally managing to take the restrictive suit off.
"Oh, Celestia,"
she said, wiping the sweat from her forehead.
"Now I think it's time for a much-needed shower,"
Dash thought, trotting into the large master bathroom right off her bedroom. Unlike most of the homes in Ponyville, Cloud Homes had the privilege of having rainbow showers that could reinvigorate any Pegasus and give them the strength when they needed it after flying for long distances. But they were also infamous for another effect, namely, making Pegasi incredibly aroused due to the multicoloured water's natural stimulative properties against the skin. Reaching out a hoof and turning the shower handle to the desired temperature, Rainbow Dash grabbed a washcloth from a nearby towel rack that was adorned with the Wonderbolts logo along with her initials embroidered just under it. Stepping into the shower, Dash let out a gasp as the semi-hot water hit her coat and skin, lowering her head under the powerful shower head and letting the water run down her face and mane, giving the mare a semi-tickling tingling sensation she adored. Lathering up a generous amount of her favourite vanilla-scented body wash on the dark blue washcloth, she began to wash her legs along with her now fully extended wings. She squeezed the washcloth and let the soap run down her back, cascading the bubbles and slippery white gel between her haunches and down her rainbow tail. She then moved the washcloth to the front of her chest, squeezing it in her hoof yet again as more soap and bubbles slid down her stomach, caressing and washing over her two small breasts, then reaching her tight slit. The action made Rainbow Dash moan slightly as thoughts of her human lover's tongue pleasuring her cascaded into her mind as the soft washcloth began to slowly move down to her most sensitive areas. Gradually pressing the washcloth into her dripping wet, now in more ways than one, marehood, she began to rub in little circles, teasing her clitoris while at the same time arching her back to get a better angle. She then moved the cloth up, massaging her two nipples in little circles before quickly moving back down to give her vagina more attention, moving in even faster in counterclockwise circles. Resting her head against the shower wall, the star Wonderbolt pleasured herself with ever-increasing intensity, visualizing herself being given oral sex and being rutted fast and hard by her lover's rock-hard erection. Turning around to face the shower head, Rainbow Dash reached her other unoccupied hoof up and turned the shower nozzle to the power jet mode, mainly used for cleaning extra filthy pony manes. Moving the intense spray of multicoloured water to just the right angle, Dash arched her back, leaning up onto two hooves and resting herself against the back of the shower stall, giving the powerful cascade of water more room to play with. She then let out a long squeaky groan as the powerful jet of water started to drench her already stimulated sex.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about,
she said, rolling her violet eyes up at the amazing sensation. Focusing back on herself as the jet of water ravaged her, Rainbow Dash vigorously rubbed the washcloth up and down, but this time on the lower base of her vagina, the powerful jet of stimulating spectrum water pleasuring her at the top of her slit and exposed clitoris.
Oh, Celestia. Oh, this feels so awesome.
Dash managed to scratchily utter out between the squeals and moans of pleasure. Her whole body shook as she whipped her rainbow mane and tail from side to side. She was getting close now, and she knew it. Nearing her climax, Dash let the washcloth fall to the shower floor, now vigorously pressing her hoof deep into her swollen, overstimulated sex, needing to feel the wet fur on her hoof against the sensitive area in the last moments of her unstoppable ecstasy as she rubbed in an ever-increasing motion, digging even deeper, the hot multicoloured water aiding to her self-pleasure the whole while. Reaching her limit, she orgasmed, letting out a loud moan as the rainbow-coloured water mixed with her excited hot juices and ran down her back hooves and rainbow tail that was now wrapped tightly around one of her back legs. She flapped her wings vigorously as she came, cascading the colourful water in beautiful spectrums around the spacious shower stool. Rainbow Dash, now satisfied, collected herself, moving on to wash her mane with a different scent-free shampoo. This gave her spectrum mane the trademark look she was known for, and helped keep dander at bay. Fully clean at last, Rainbow Dash rinsed off the excess soap and turned off the spectrum-coloured water. Pulling the shower curtain aside, she reached for a large bath towel that was a matched set with the cloth she had used. With two hooves, Rainbow Dash grabbed the towel and slung it over her back, drying off her sensitive wings and wet cyan coat. When she was done, she grabbed a dark blue bathrobe and quickly wrapped herself in it, poking her two hooves and wings through the specifically designed holes and leaving the Cloud Home's bathroom. Wandering into the kitchen, she decided it was time for a snack. Opening the doors on a few cabinets, she was surprised to find that they were fully stocked with all of her favourite goodies, like apple chips and dip to organic grass-flavoured chocolate bars.
I gotta make sure to repay him for this,
Dash thought, imagining different and exciting sexual positions she could try with her human lover. Biting the end of the wrapper open, Rainbow took a bite of the savoury chocolate. She enjoyed this kind of chocolate the most because of how smooth the consistency and taste was when it melted in her mouth. The taste was one that could be compared with the Cadbury chocolate bars of Earth. On the shiny purple and red wrapper, there was a little trademark in the corner that said Princess Approved on it, with a picture of Princess Celestia giving a look of satisfaction and winking an eye. The blueberry and dark chocolate kind had an image of Princess Luna on it that Dash also enjoyed just as much. Finishing her snack, she walked into the master bedroom and jumped up onto the bed, proceeding to turn on the large flat-screen HD television that was on the wall. Pieces of technology like this had special receivers that could be telepathically controlled by ponies that didn't possess magical powers, such as earth ponies and Pegasi like herself. Thinking of a few numbers of her favourite channels, the television brought up a menu that outlined all the numbers she had thought of, and split off into the network so she could then scroll through them channel by channel, cutting out all the news, paid programming, and other biased consumerism shit she didn't want to see. The first program the TV turned to was a Daring Do movie. It had piqued Dash's interest until she found out that it was the one with Shia LaHouf in it.
"Oh, son of a bitch!"
she yelled, quickly changing from the failed reboot. The next channel she switched to was a rebroadcast of a Wonderbolts show Rainbow Dash had flown in earlier in the week. This wasn't just a stunt show, but also a competitive one, with Rainbow Dash, Soarin' and Spitfire competing against the Trailblazers, a team that consisted of Lightning Dust, Firestorm, and Skyflash. Watching the highlight reel, Dash remembered how Lightning Dust had clipped her wing while they were flying against each other in the doubles round so that she'd be hindered for the final 3-on-3 race.
That and that alone was the only reason why the Trailblazers won that game,
she yelled at the screen. With a growl of disgust, she flipped to the third and final channel in the lineup. One of her eyebrows raised, a devilish glare appearing on the Pegasus's face as the show turned on. Real running, mare versus mare.
"Oh, now we're talking,"
Dash said in an alluring tone as her wings quivered slightly. The scene playing before her had been the Rubber Stallions segment, which demonstrated the various sizes, shapes, and uses of dildos. Watching with intent a scene of two mares thrusting back to back with a two-sided purple dildo in between them, Rainbow Dash bit her lip as her heart along with her breath took on a faster pace. Her cyan wings were now starting to become stiff and erect at the visual stimuli before her. The heat began to rise between her legs, and she slowly started to untie the fluffy belt from her bathrobe, parting the two overlapping pieces of material and feeling the slightly cool air of her bedroom against her still slightly damp fur and exposed marehood. The scene then changed on the After Dark program to a light green Pegasus that was getting pounded out by a particularly good-looking tan-coloured stallion as she was restricted by a red silk ribbon that was tied around her wings. Since discovering how amazingly attractive humans were, Rainbow Dash didn't have any desires to be with a stallion. But that didn't mean she couldn't enjoy a little action from her own species now and again. As the scene continued to play on, Rainbow Dash began to move a hoof across her upper torso, slowly moving it lower as her tail flicked about, antsy in anticipation for the pleasure to come. Reaching her petite breasts at long last, she traced a hoof around the edges of them in a figure-8 pattern, now panting heavily at her self-teasing. She then pressed the tip of her hoof into the top of her little clit, moving first in slow motions, moaning with each stimulative pass her hoof made against her tight entrance. She was now working herself with both of her hooves, one rubbed back and forth along the crevice of her slit, while the other one teased and caressed her hardening nipples. Every once in a while, she moved her hoof lower to give her tight anal entrance a few playful prods.
"Oh, Bucky, yeah. Rub me harder, you dirty stallion,"
Rainbow Dash whispered, helping herself to visualize the action she was imagining now that the segment had ended and the late-night show was over. Rubbing herself with an ever-increasing velocity, she felt more moisture building up, making the fur on her foreleg damp as she rubbed it in between her now widespread back hooves. The fur around her marehood now soaked, Dash clenched her back legs together, moving her arm in a furious action, building up the pleasure and ecstasy that cascaded through her body as the scene that she had visualized changed to her human lover. She imagined him standing over her with his hands holding back her forehoofs, slowly massaging them down her chest as he rocked his stiff member into her tight pussy. Rainbow Dash's tail wrapped itself around one of her legs as she reached the limits of her pleasure.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, Celestia! Fuck!
She said in a breaking, scratchy voice as her whole body shook furiously. Bucking her legs up in the air, she released a generous amount of hot, thick mare cum down her legs, dripping onto the bed below. Rainbow Dash, now fully satisfied at long last, let her two back legs rest down onto the cum-soaked Wonderbolts-themed bedsheets, relaxing her whole body in the bliss of her afterglow. Bringing her cum-covered hoof up to her mouth, she gave it a long, slow lick, tasting her own release.
I love the taste of the rainbow,
Dash said, smirking at the horrible pun, continuing to lick off the rest of her sweet juices. Turning off the large flat-screen TV, she looked to the side of her bedroom, gazing into the bathroom.
Well,
Dash said, looking down at her messy, cum-stained fur and rainbow tail, smiling contently.
I guess it's time for another shower.
The end. And there we go, every pony. My last reading for this year has come to an end. I hope you've all had an excellent year. Now, on to 2 announcements. The first, I am going to be involved in a live stream on New Year's Eve with Limey Reads, Epic Dash and Brad the Browncoat Brony. The stream will be going up on Brad's channel, so I'll leave a link to it in the description so you can go and check it out when it comes up. And on to my second announcement. On Christmas Eve, we hit 1,000 subscribers. In my most wildest dreams, I never ever thought I would be saying that number. Wow. So I suppose you're all wondering what I'm going to be doing for a sub special, but it is currently in the process of being made, and it won't be ready until, I think, about 2 months or so. But I will give you a small teaser as to what it is about with this little image here. There we are. Feast your eyes on that, every pony. This wonderful masterpiece was commissioned for me by Justin Brown, one of my subscribers. This is going to be used as the cover image for a reading of a Spears X Dash fic that is currently in the process of being written for me, which Justin also commissioned. So I hope that will make for a good sub-special. And I want to give a shout out to the artist herself, Korstis Ika. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm terribly sorry if I didn't. There will be a link to her Tumblr blog and DeviantArt page in the description so you can go and check out her work. And I think that's it, every pony. So I shall leave you all now so you can get back to your festivities wherever you are, and before I go, I want to wish you all, once again, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for just making my life as a brony even more awesome. I won't cry, but I am very, very close to. So I'm going to shut this off before I do. So, Merry Christmas, every pony. I love you all. This is Winged T Spears, signing off for 2014.